this morning. It is a Thursday morning, which means we've got something brilliant on the way. It is our time for confessions, and joining us this morning, there's no sight of Father Neil. He's off on his hollybobs. So we are being joined by Reverend Sophie and Reverend Ruth. A very good morning to you both.
Morning.
Morning. How does it feel sitting in the chair of Father Neil on a debut at Confessions?
It's scary, but the person confessing should be more scared.
Oh,
There you go.
I am intrigued. Now, you're not new to this concept of confessions, are you, Reverend Ruth? Give us introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do? What's your relationship with Reverend Sophie, who's brought you here today?
Okay, so I'm a minister of the United Reformed Church. I serve 5 little chapels around Haverfordwest, but working together with the church in Wales, kind of across the area, and particularly focused on Haverfordwest, often as the kind of the core of the county, as we like to think of ourselves. So yeah, we've been working together on a number of things, and most lately, the Compassionate Cafe, which kicked off yesterday at the Haverhub. It's a drop-in cafe, 12:30 to 2:30 every first Wednesday of the month, for people to just come and talk to sympathetic, lovely people. And we have a great team of people from across the churches, and together we try to provide a listening ear for people. So one to watch, first Wednesday of every month, Haverhub.
Amazing. Reverend Sophie, you've talked about this before.
I have talked about this before, yes. But yesterday was our first shot at it. It was a good afternoon. We had lots of lovely, wonderful conversations, and good coffee. It's good coffee in
Very
the
good
Hub.
coffee.
So it was lovely. And of course, we want to see more people coming through the doors. So we thought we'd mention it again today and encourage more people. And it's a space not only for those who are perhaps bereaved or feeling lonely, or there's something else going on in their lives, but also it's just a space for people to come and talk and just be. So if you fancy catching up with myself or Reverend Ruth or Father Neil or any of the other clerics, and indeed lay people across Haverfordwest, then the first Wednesday of every month, it'd be good to see you there.
Yeah. And of course, every Thursday we restore our own sense of compassion right here, live on the airwaves. Now, Ruth, you came in. You're like, I know what I've got myself in for. You enjoy listening to this when you're at home anyway.
I do, okay. Yeah. Or sometimes on catch up while walking the dog. The dog has very strong views.
Well, I wonder what views are going to be shared today. And this is a confession that's been bestowed on both of you at the same time.
Yes.
So, shall I push the button, have a little boogie?
Let's do it.
And should we see whether we forgive or not?
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Okay.
Here we go.
These are my confessions. These are my confessions. These are my confessions.
Okay, the pressure is on. I'm feeling the pressure today because, Father Neil is a really good storyteller, so I'm feeling the pressure.
The floor is yours, Reverend Sophie. Here we go.
So I should warn you, okay, that this may trigger some emotions in people, okay? And also, kidnap and extortion are involved.
Oh my goodness.
It's a bit serious this morning.
I hope we're qualified enough.
Well, I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm not sure. So in a sleepy little village, not too far away from here, in the middle of a summer, there were some shenanigans happening in this sleepy little village. And one night, the person in question snuck out of their house, went to the neighbour's garden and kidnapped the garden gnome.
Oh.
Now, you'd think that would be the end of it, but no. The story gets thicker and thicker and deeper, because not only did they steal one gnome that one night, they went back and stole another. And if that were not bad enough, their children were approached by the owner of said gnomes, and the owner of the gnomes paid the children of the person who stole the gnomes to try and find the gnomes.
Oh my goodness.
And so, and so there was some very, very scary shenanigans going on, and I was quite disappointed and shook to the core. I
Shook
was.
to the core.
Yeah, absolutely.
Theft, money changing hands, encouraging people to go against their blood, their own family.
I know. So who's to? I mean, there's extortion on one hand and kidnap on the. It's just terrible.
Reverend Ruth, you were there when this story was told.
I was, and I was shocked, obviously. But yes, but then Scripture came to mind, and when Jesus was faced by a sinner, he said, "Let the one without sin cast the first stone." Stone. Stone. So I think we have to look at ourselves and ask, when have we not moved a gnome, stolen a gnome? When have we not involved our children in the extortion of finding the gnomes for our bereft neighbour?
Our bereft neighbour. Gina, your thoughts on this? We've got gnomes going missing. They're being separated from their family too. You can't separate a gnome from their own little mill pond.
No.
And then money exchanging hands. Gina, your first thoughts?
I think it's hilarious. So why were the gnomes taken in the first place? Were they getting on the nerves of the neighbour? First of all, to be taken them, and then obviously the children have got involved because they've been offered money by the said neighbour to be able to go and find them. Did the children say, yeah, we know where they are, thank you very much for the money? Or did they say, we've looked and we've looked and we've looked, still can't find them, maybe another couple of pounds might be able to find them, we'll go off and get some more.
And did
They would
just
be
take
clever
them-
children.
Yeah, as they go straight to the ice cream shop. Ooh.
I don't. From what I understood, the children did not know that they were being extorted. So they did not know that the parents in question had stolen the gnomes.
So the children, as ever,
Were innocent.
Innocent.
We're
children.
innocent.
Completely
They were an
innocent.
innocent party.
They were just being asked to find the gnomes, and they I don't think they found them.
they didn't find them.
No.
And why were the gnomes taken in the first place? Do we know this?
I have a theory that gnomes are like Marmite.
Yes.
So
Yes.
obviously, some people love gnomes. There will be people out there who love their gnomes, and that's fine. But there are other people who find them irritating, over the top. And I think this particular garden had a lot of gnomes. It was heavily gnomed.
Heavily gnomed.
And I think the neighbour just felt it was too much, the miscreant, and removed some of the gnomes. I believe there was talk of putting one on the swings on the green, placing them in other people's gardens. I mean, that's, again, making other people look guilty. But maybe the gnomes enjoyed the swings. We don't know.
Hang on. This sounds more like spreading the joy. Why should we keep a gnome encased in one garden when they can go forth and spread love?
And joy, absolutely. I mean, you could be onto something there.
I mean, well, I think we've all seen Romeo and Juliet.
We have.
Sadly.
Sadly. But there was a theft. There wasn't permission sought.
No.
Oh, and then so the children are innocent in this. However, so do we think that the owner of the gnomes, the grandfather of the gnomes, the grandmother of the gnomes? I'm not one here to asperge as to who's got all these gnomes. Do you think that they know who's taken them?
I don't think that they do.
I don't think they ever got to the bottom.
I don't
And
think
the
they-
other bit of information
Yes.
was that the owner of the gnomes had since moved out of the village.
Oh.
Heartbroken and bereft.
Oh, they never had them back.
Well,
They were never
The
reunited.
kidnap victims were clearly,
Right. I know where I'm going with this now then.
Oh, that's so mean.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like it would have been if the originator of the gnomes hadn't left. It sounds like this could have been a long campaign of gnomes going missing. We would have needed Wallace and Gromit to investigate.
you would have done. Yeah, it was a bit serious, I think.
Gina, you think that you've set your stall out?
Yes, I have. You know, the gnomes have gone missing. They've never found them. They're the people are very upset and since moved on. So not forgiven, I'm afraid. No, I'm not having it.
Straight out there, we've got our first not forgiven out of the back. If you're going to take a gnome without someone's permission and you're going to let them leave without reuniting, not even a little shard, it was like, I found this hat, a ceramic piece of a gnome.
Yeah.
I want you to have it in memory. Reverend Ruth, you were there at the time. You've already told us that we're not going to be casting any gnomes anywhere.
No.
But that's what this person did when they stole them.
Well, they did. But the other thing that I think does affect my judgment and did in fact affect their judgment, alcohol. Was involved, I understand. So which of us has not, after one or two too many, done something we later regret? Confession was offered. The person did express a certain amount of regret.
A certain amount. On a scale of Scovilles, on what chili pepper regret have they shown us?
Oh, it was not Scotch bonnet, but it was definitely somewhere inedible.
Okay.
So
So there's an element of remorse there
there
from
is
the
remorse,
person.
and therefore, because I'm kind, I think I would offer forgiveness.
How long ago was this story?
It is going back a number of times. It clearly has burdened this person. I wish to unburden them.
It's been on the shoulders. We've had this kind of story before,
Yeah.
Reverend
Yeah.
Sophie.
Yeah.
Where have you sat in this garden? With a fishing rod or with a nice ukulele? To blend in with your gnome brothers and sisters.
I have to say I agree with Reverend Ruth on this one. I think this person in question, I almost gave away something then. This person in question was clearly quite distraught and actually was a little reluctant to let us put it on the radio. So I'm feeling very forgiving this morning.
You're feeling forgiving.
I think their burdens need to be lifted.
I'm going to come back to remind us what Gina said. If you just joined us, gnomes have been going missing, or they historically went missing, which I think is par for the course. If you've got gnomes in the garden, I think it's a rite of passage that some disappear.
Big sign saying "Take my gnomes."
Yeah, take my gnomes, but give them back. We focused on the theft. We money exchanged hands for the children, the innocent children, not knowing what was going on. Did you forgive? Well, we can't forgive them. They've left. Gina, you were straight in there after you found out that there was some upset caused by this. You were like, not forgiven.
Yeah, not forgiven, and I'm still going to stick by not forgiven. But if I'd have met the person who was showing the remorse of taking them, and I felt that sort of remorse from them, maybe it'd be a different matter. But I don't know who it is. I've no idea. I haven't met them. I've got no connection to them, and therefore I'm sticking with not forgiven. So it's up to you, Tom.
It's up to me. Am I going to hang the vote here in the studio and hand it over to you at home? Do you forgive? We're currently live on all of our social media platforms. You can message us on 01437 764455. Let's have a look what we've got here. No, we're looking okay at the moment. Now, as I've just mentioned, if you're going to have a gnome, you need to expect it to disappear, I feel. Particularly if your neighbours are someone that likes to enjoy a beverage or two. And is there a case of, if you're going to have yourself a gnome, that you should just accept that it's going to go? And if you do have a prize gnome, make sure it's close to the door so they can't just take it from over the fence. Do I forgive the person that took the gnome in the first place and didn't return it? If they had gone to the swings and taken pictures and posted it back with a lovely photo album, here's where your gnome's been for the last 3 weeks,
Yeah.
I would have enjoyed that. That's a lovely keepsake, the adventures of the gnome. But they didn't do that. They put them on the swing, they pulled the swing back like a bungee, and they flung the gnome off into the distance.
And it went into 1,000 pieces, and that's why they never had it back.
And they never had it back. So on that basis, I'm not going to forgive.
Oh.
We need you at home. We've got 2 forgivens and we've got 2 not forgivens. Would you forgive? Get in touch now on the video, and by the end of the show, we'll find out whether or not you forgive. Let's have another little refresh over here. If they were drunk and took it, they're not going to return it. And the sign on the gnome gone fishing, so it grew legs and walked. So over on WhatsApp, it's a not forgiven. Oh no! There's still time to turn the tide on this one. Please do get in touch. However, right here, right now, I'm going to have to play this for us. There's still time. There's still time to have that tide turned over on social media. Let us know what you think. And have you ever taken a gnome? In university, the cone on the head's often a one to do. Don't do that. It's dangerous. Although in Glasgow, they've got the statue with the cone on his head all the time. Thank you so much for bringing that to the table. And
You're welcome.
They've had forgiveness from you.
Yes.
They have, yes.
And that's a nice thought, isn't it? Alive and Kicking on Sunday.
It is, yes. You're going to ask me now what it is we're talking about, aren't you? And we've already recorded it, but I can't remember what.
That's fine. Well, we'll tune in. We'll tune in from 8 a.m. and we'll find out.
Till 9 a.m. Yeah.
We're still on social media. We've just had another comment come in.
Oh.
Tony,
Okay.
forgive. Always forgive.
Always forgive.
Well
Well done,
done,
Tony.
So now we're stuck on the fence again, which means that we're kind of doing this.
Bobbing along.
Keep those answers coming in. We're going to tune in to Alive and Kicking on Sunday morning. Reverend Sophie, thank you as ever for joining us. Reverend Ruth, thank you for making your debut here on Confessions. Will you come back?
Definitely.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Any events coming up?
Have you got any events coming up?
Have a ponder. Have a
yes.
ponder. We'll let you know, and I'll give you 30 seconds to talk about it. It's 25 minutes past 8 o'clock. Gina, we have got celebrations on the way too.
Yeah, celebrations and your letters for your unscrambled. All of that on the way.
Don't go anywhere. 25 minutes past 8 o'clock on your June to Breakfast Show with Folly Farm.
Wake up with Gina